Missouri's last remaining abortion clinic has actually filed lawsuit against the state, hoping to restore its license and be able to continue to serve women. In a statement Tuesday, Planned Parenthood said Missouri's health department is refusing to renew its annual license to provide abortion in the state. If the license is not renewed by May 31st, Missouri would become the first state without a functioning abortion clinic since 1973, of course, when Roe versus Wade was decided. Now it's important to note, I think, that this has been a slow process of restriction after restriction. The state's health department notified Planned Parenthood actually of 3 issues that could impact license renewal. Let's take a look at them. On May 22nd, Planned Parenthood said it would address 2 of those issues, which are adjusting who at the clinic provided the state mandated counseling and adding an additional pelvic exam for abortion patients. But it said a 3rd request was out of its control. According to Planned Parenthood, the health department said it was investigating deficient practices and needed to interview 7 physicians who provide care at the clinic. Now, Planned Parenthood said it couldn't do that. It could only, allow interviews with 2 of the physicians because the other 5 aren't actually employees of Planned Parenthood. They were residents in training. The state has indicated that the result of these interviews could be board review in addition to criminal proceedings. So the medical residents declined to be interviewed, which is understandable. But let's go back to that second issue before I wrap up here, the pelvic exams, because I think this is important. Planned Parenthood has actually stopped offering medication abortions in Missouri because of that requirement. So as of right now, a woman can only choose a surgical abortion in the state of Missouri, although there has been medical advances where now a woman could be prescribed a pill. They've done this because the state wanted doctors to administer an extra pelvic exam even if the patient chose a pill administered procedure. And Dr. Colleen McNicholas, a Planned Parenthood physician in St. Louis, pointed out just how unnecessary that is. Now she says, when I say an unnecessary pelvic exam, what I mean is that the state is forcing me to put my fingers in somebody's vagina when it is totally medically irrelevant. That is really bordering on harassment, and I'm really proud of our clinicians for taking a stand and saying, we just won't do that to patients.
Okay, so there's a number of issues here. First of all, I thought conservatives were against big government and overregulation.
Right.
Now all of a sudden, they love overregulation. They're like, okay, what kind of permits do your doctors have? Do they have admitting privileges in a nearby hospital? They shut down the second to last clinic in Missouri, in Columbia, Missouri, because they said not enough physicians had admitting privileges to a hospital within 15-minute ride of the clinic. Now you put that kind of regulation on a oil company that's putting toxins in the air or in the ground or in the water, they're like, oh, you're overregulating. It's just cancer. Right. What's the big deal, right? Now you say, hey, in this case, there's no medical necessity for them to have admitting privileges. If there was an issue, the hospital would clearly take those women anyway, right? They go, haha, they don't really hide it. They are doing overregulation on purpose to do a slow motion anti-choice provisions in these states. So now Missouri is one of only 6 states that have 1 clinic left, and now, as Brooke told you, they might have none left soon. And so the pelvic ones is really, she said harassment, and other state legislators said it's kind of rape.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
Yeah, and so there's a legitimate point there. For no medically necessary reason at all, they're saying doctors must violate women in the way that she described. So I thought you were against big government. No, government must violate a woman, and not only the government, but the doctor must do it on our behalf. And now to the point about these particular regulations that might shut down the last clinic in St. Louis, they say, well, these doctors, because of all of our different regulations, we might put them in prison. So we need to talk to them. And doctors are like, yeah, I think this is obvious what your intentions are. This is harassment, and you're trying to, have big government. You're jackbooted thugs. They don't say it that way. I will. Your jackbooted thugs in big government come in and find a BS reason to imprison me and shut down the last clinic. So I politely decline your invitation. So they say, okay, great. That's what we wanted anyway. We just want to shut down the clinics. because we don't give a damn what the Supreme Court said and what the Constitution says. We want to make sure that you don't have any choice or any freedom in this country. Just own it. That's who you are.
Yeah, this is part of a right-wing jihad, and this is very much what they're about. They want to infiltrate first the political system. We could quibble about what's first and what's second, but between the courts, the political system, and then even this is a health board that's making this demand. I mean, so without any kind of medical underpinnings, they're asking for something which is clearly harassment and has no end but to shut down abortion in the state. They're going to, in the same way that they work on voter suppression by making it harder and harder to find polling places that are open and making it farther and farther for you to go to vote in certain states. They make it harder and harder for you to decide on an abortion, and they make it harder and harder for you to find an abortion clinic. This is already a difficult decision in every case. And for women, it's going to become an impossible decision in some of these states. But Cenk's exactly right. What's happening here is sort of it's a multi-platformed attack on women's rights.
Just multiple different just restrictions, and okay, we're gonna try this thing, now we'll try this thing, now we'll try this thing. And I do want to just go back to, I know we both talked about it, but just that pelvic exam, how horrifying that is. And now Planned Parenthood as an organization, as a provider, has had to choose between physically violating women or taking away one of their choices. And that's awful.
And in other states, they are mandating transvaginal ultrasound. That also involves penetration and oftentimes also is completely unnecessary. And they also do it in some of these states. There's no exception for rape or incest. So if a woman is raped, they bring her in and they literally violate her again with no medical necessity. And how does that protect life again? Because I thought the whole reason for this was, oh my God, I care so much about life. No, there's a sick, punitive angle to this.
Yes.
Women, you want to control your own bodies? Hell no. Big government is going to tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do Sharia law, and we're going to violate you over and over again because of our interpretation of our particular religion. Read the Constitution. You cannot establish a religion in America. You don't need to pass the anti-Sharia laws in Oklahoma because you already can't, it's already unconstitutional. You can't apply Islam in America, but you also can't apply Christianity because we're not all Christians and we're not all the same denomination of Christianity. And even if we were, we don't all have the same interpretation of that denomination. So that is why logically our founding fathers put it into the Constitution that you cannot establish a religion. But the American Taliban is on a jihad and they don't care. They want to enforce the Sharia law because by hook or by crook, they want to control those women and oftentimes violate them. And then they pretend that it's because they care so much about life. That's not what this is about. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.